This young man had been missing for 10 years but suddenly returned, surprising his family because everyone thought he had died at sea or perished somewhere. Then, suddenly, his mother passed away for no apparent reason. Dong Jin Man requested an autopsy to determine the cause of death, but his older brother vehemently refused, saying they wanted their mother to rest in peace. A short while later, his sister-in-law asked Dong Jin Man to bring her daughter. Jan went home to help because she kept breaking things at the funeral home. Just as Dong Jin Man and his niece left, a man came to the funeral and introduced himself as an old friend of Dong Jin Man. Dong Jin Man took his niece home, then received a phone call with bad news. He told his niece, "I'll come back to the funeral home to see your parents. My friend will come and ask you to open the door. You need to give him a riddle, and you only open the door when he solves it." Di immediately promised that he could do it and then posed a riddle. What animal, if you remove its tail, becomes a horse? It's a horse. If you remove the O, it becomes a horse. After that, the uncle left, promising he would definitely return. After Dong Jin Man had left, a young man approached and tried to unlock the door. Jan looked through the door and asked him to solve his riddle. What animal, if you remove its tail, becomes a horse? But the man outside said nothing and unlocked the door. He confidently walked into the house, only to be dragged back outside by someone else. Hearing the sounds of fighting outside, a young man entered and showed the answer cat written on his phone, then introduced himself as a friend of Dong Jin. Upon noticing someone approaching, the young man asked Dong Jan to wait in the room. Jan entered the room and saw the man wearing an iron ring on his hand. A long-haired man carrying a gun entered the house. Inside the room, Jan heard screams outside. Looking through the crack in the door, she saw the young man from earlier being attacked by another man. He dealt with the two strangers. Entering the room, he searched every corner for January. The man in the suit noticed the window was open. When he poked his head out, he saw little Dong Jan dangling from a swing. He praised her for being very brave, just like his uncle, and asked Jan to hold out her hand so he could pull her up. But Jan let go of his arm and landed neatly on the sofa on the floor. She quickly ran away, but was suddenly hit by a car. People around started running to check on her. The long-haired man looked. The boss, wearing a vest, looked utterly helpless. Dong Jan was rushed to the emergency room. Jan Momang opened her eyes and heard that her parents had both died at the funeral home, and her uncle was still unreachable. That night, Dong Jan suddenly woke up and realized someone was entering, a long-haired man. He opened the door, attached a silencer to his gun, but when he pulled back the blanket, he only saw pillows underneath. Dong Du Wei and had managed to escape outside. She ran down the stairs, but the long-haired man chased after her. Dong Di and frantically tried to open all the rooms, but only the iron cell could be opened, so he went inside. The long-haired man informed his accomplices that they had found the girl. Dong Di and then opened the door to a storage room in the cell. The long-haired man entered and searched. Dong Jia recognized the body lying next to her as her own mother. The long-haired man proceeded to open each storage room to search for January. The girl hugged her mother tightly to overcome her fear. An accomplice entered, but from behind, another person fired at the long-haired man. Jan trembled as she listened to the explosions coming from outside. A moment later, Uncle Dong Jin Man opened the cellar door and saw his niece sleeping next to his sister-in-law. He immediately lifted the little girl onto his shoulder, covered his sister-in-law's body, and then carried the child, who had lost both her parents, home. A month later, Uncle Dong Jin Man took his niece to a house in a remote area to live. As soon as she entered the house, Jan tripped and fell, but her uncle didn't help her up. The little girl got up and said, "Uncle, you're not my parents, so you shouldn't. I can do the things my parents did for me," he said. After saying that, the uncle went into the house alone, leaving Jan to carry her luggage inside. That evening, after Jan had fallen asleep, the uncle gazed at his niece and recalled the doctor's conclusion that Jan showed signs of aphasia combined with dissociative amnesia due to the shock of losing both her parents, and therefore needed medication. Dong Juan Man walked outside and slapped himself repeatedly in the face because his presence had indirectly led to this. Jan's parents suffered from a speech disorder, so when she went to school, Jan was constantly teased and harassed by her classmates. One big, burly classmate tried to bully her, but her friend Dung Minute stopped him. When the big guy told her that his father had stabbed his mother to death because she was having an affair, and that after committing the crime, his father had also taken his own life, Jan grabbed a chair and hit the big classmate straight in the head. When school ended, it was raining heavily, and while everyone else was being picked up by their parents, Jan walked home alone. Jan walked home in the rain, and after a short distance, her uncle Dong Jin Man arrived in his pickup truck. However, Jan sulked and refused to get in. Her uncle followed her for a short distance, then coldly sped away. The cold relationship between the two continued, even though Jin Man cooked meals for her. He showed no concern or affection for Jan, leaving her to be independent in everything. The two of them didn't even need to use words to communicate. They had to rely on others. The refrigerator door was on the door of the school storage room. If the niece wanted to buy something, she just had to write a note and stick it on the door. The uncle also stuck money on the door but didn't give it directly to his niece. At school, Dong Jin Man was scolded by the teacher. Besides being unable to speak, Jan faced many obstacles in interacting with her classmates. But the parent uncle coldly said, "I understand what you mean, but I think Jan's problem should be left for her to overcome herself." That day, Jan was thrown into the school storage room by 3 male classmates. The old man spat at the little girl, then coldly closed and locked the warehouse door. Jan sat alone in the warehouse, haunted by the hand with the iron ring that belonged to the uncle who had come to rescue her. She was terrified and kept knocking on the door, eventually managing to utter her uncle's name for help. Just then, her uncle broke down the door and, hearing his niece's reproachful words, "Uncle, why are you only coming now? You said you'd be back." Dong Jin immediately hugged his poor niece and said, "Uncle apologizes." Later, when they got home, the uncle made grilled pork belly to treat his niece, who had just overcome her speech difficulties. The two of them sat down and enjoyed the delicious meal together. Jan could now even praise how delicious the pork belly was. Then, the two of them smiled at each other and ate heartily. Time passed, and Dong Jan had become a young woman and graduated from university. One day, Jan was arrested and taken to the police station. A man repeatedly accused the girl of being his victim. This assault led the police to review CCTV footage, which showed a woman entering the restroom, followed closely by a man. A short time later, both ran out, with Jan being the last to escape. Jan then cornered the man and beat him up. Because he dared to enter the women's restroom, Jan repeatedly asked to be allowed to go home, stating that the man was clearly in the wrong. However, the police said she was wrong to assault him, that he was suing her for assault, and that she needed to call her guardian. Having no other choice, Jan had to call her uncle Dong Jin Man, but a police officer answered the phone and gave her the shocking news that Dong Jin Man had passed away. Jan sadly took a taxi home, reminiscing about her uncle when she was away studying at university. Even though he lived on the 5th floor, Uncle Jin Man still came to install security bars for her and bought her a sturdy iron wardrobe. Perhaps during an emergency, Uncle Dong Jin Man looked at his student ID card and something came to mind. Then he took a picture of it with his phone and told Jan to memorize his student ID number like he memorized his citizen ID number. Jan now realized that the last thing Uncle Dong Jin Man said to him was the sequence of numbers in his student ID. Suddenly, the taxi driver asked Jan about Uncle Dong Jin Man and introduced himself as Jin Man's best friend since middle school. When Jan told the taxi driver that Dong Jin Man had just passed away, he immediately stopped the car and drove Jan to the hospital to retrieve Dong Jin Man's body. He also gave her some money to help with the funeral arrangements. Jan went into the morgue to identify her Uncle Dong Jin Man's body with an expression she'd always had since she was a child. She was puzzled by the slash wound on her uncle's neck. The police officer explained that according to CCTV footage, no one had been near the house. "It was his house, so we concluded that my uncle had committed suicide," Jan whispered. Even in death, he seemed as confused as he was when he was alive. Then the girl signed the document to receive her uncle's body. Jay saw a tattoo on her uncle's hand with the letters MH. Jan began discussing with the funeral organizers when the employee requested a portrait photo of the deceased for the ancestral portrait. Jay looked bewildered, then went home to look for one. Unexpectedly, a young man came in and introduced himself.
"I'm Dan Min," Jan realized.
He recognized the boy who had stopped him from being beaten up by a big guy at school when he was little. Then, this boy went into the house and used his phone to take a picture of Jan's extended family, and used software to extract a portrait of Uncle Jin Man. For January Dung Minute introduced himself as a computer engineering graduate after his military service. "When I got home, I saw Uncle Jin Man was hiring part-time workers. I helped him improve his website selling agricultural water pipes. I only worked there for a few days before Uncle Jin Man left. The last person I contacted in his life was me, and I was the one who called the police. You know your uncle was found in the bathroom, right? Let me help you clean up that mess. Make sure you organize a good funeral for your uncle. After that, Jan acted as the master of ceremonies for his uncle Dong Jinman. The taxi driver uncle enthusiastically helped Jan greet guests because Jan didn't know who his uncle's friends were. Then, a pair of twins with menacing faces entered to pay their respects, while the long-haired guy stood there. Outside, the taxi driver tried to strike up a conversation with the twins, but only received disapproving glances. Meanwhile, at home, while cleaning the bathroom, his friend Dung Minute found a brick phone hidden in a cupboard. At the funeral, Jan heard for the first time from close friends stories about his uncle, Jin Man, and all the good deeds he had done to silently help those around him. Jan now realized he had lived with him for 10 years. Jan knew nothing about him. After the funeral, she and her friends watched as Uncle Dong Jin Man was taken to the crematorium. Later, as they all rode in the car to take Uncle Jin Man's ashes to the cemetery, his friends kept talking about how Jan, his niece, hadn't shed a single tear throughout her uncle's funeral. Her friend, Dung Minute, also tried to comfort Jan so she wouldn't be upset by their comments. Later, when she got home, Jan looked at her family photo and realized that everyone was gone, and she was all alone. Stay here. The girl recalled the words Uncle Jin Man had said to her when they lived together under one roof. Jan now burst into tears, wondering why he was so tired and desperate, yet he kept pretending to be strong. Now that I'm all alone in the world, what am I supposed to do? Unexpectedly, Minute walked in and saw her classmate pouring out the emotions she had been holding back for so long. Jan then confessed, I'm not okay at all. Can you stay with me a little longer? Can we do it again? Jan leaned her head on Dung Min's shoulder and fell asleep from exhaustion. Then Dung Minute gave Jan the 2G phone he had found in the bathroom. Jan opened the phone and saw that someone had messaged him to buy an item from his uncle worth 70 million won, and his uncle Dong Jin Man's account balance was 18.7 billion won. Jan immediately asked his friend Dung Minute, can anyone make that much money just by selling agricultural tools? Jan asked Dung Minute to show him the website he had fixed for his uncle. Dung Minute accessed it. Jun Minute went to his uncle Dong Zinman's plumbing website. He analyzed the source code and found a web page with the words M have Jia, recognizing them as the words written on his uncle's hand. He logged in and found that behind the security layer was a website selling gas cylinders worth millions of world each. At this point, someone messaged him asking when they would receive their order. Jun replied that the store was currently closed and asked for their account number, promising a refund. The customer responded, Dong Zinman, so what? You're going to die today too. Minute immediately pulled out the power cord to prevent Jan from panicking and demanded that the police be called. Suddenly, someone rang the doorbell. Jan went out to check and saw a woman with short hair who introduced herself as Minute Ha and wanted to see Dong Jinman. Jan told her uncle wasn't home and told her to leave, but the woman introduced herself as Jinman's English teacher, saying she couldn't get in touch with him and that she had a gun hidden in her bag. Jan received another message saying, don't let anyone kill you, I'll come and kill you myself, Dong January. Meanwhile, the short-haired girl kept pleading to be allowed into the house and wait for Jinman to return. Jan said, my uncle won't be home today, so you can go home. The short-haired girl then pulled out a gun and said, your uncle always brags to me about how smart and pretty you are. Jan shook her head and said, my uncle never brags about himself in front of anyone. Do you really know my uncle? The girl, Minute Hai, felt embarrassed and walked out. Minute ran out of the gate and drove away in her car. She called Jan in to see what she had just discovered. Not everyone could buy items from this website. Only those with codes could purchase the specified items. There were 4 types of codes. Those with red codes were professional assassins allowed to buy. Weapons with purple codes were for spies. Listening devices and cameras with yellow codes were for crime scene cleanups. And finally, solutions and explosives were allowed. The last type was with green codes. Those with other codes were not allowed to buy them. They were allowed to attack the green code, even sacrificing their lives to protect the green code. The green code included the website operator, Dong Jin Man, and even him. Jia heard this and felt it was incredibly absurd and unexpected. Both of them heard gunshots outside and ran out to see a drone with a magazine attached, continuously firing at the bulletproof glass of the house. Another drone attacked the side of the house. Dung Minute tried to call the police, but there was no signal on her phone. Jan and Jung Minute immediately took Dong Min's hand and fled to the back of the house, but they were ambushed by another plane, which dented the bulletproof door. Another plane landed and attached self-adhesive bombs to the bulletproof glass, which then exploded. Jan and Jung Minute hid inside to avoid the gunfire from the advanced plane. The plane slowly flew into the house and continuously fired at the cupboard where Dong Minute was hiding, then launched a small bomb to blow up the cupboard door. Jan then used a slingshot to shoot at the plane. The plane caused it to swerve and crash to the ground. Jan used a chair to disable the killer plane. Jan then tried to cheer up his friend Dong Minute, and the two used a cupboard door as makeshift ice and stepped outside. Another plane flew towards them. Jan continued to use his slingshot, but this time it was useless. Then they were hit by a hail of bullets from the drone. Outside, Minute Ha, seeing many planes appearing, immediately took out her most advanced equipment. Inside the house, Jia noticed the plane had stopped attacking, so she peeked out and saw a bomb stuck on a bulletproof target. The bomb exploded very quickly, sending both of them flying. Actually, just as the plane was about to finish them off, outside, Minute Ha, holding a machine gun, pulled the trigger, causing both drones to crash to the ground simultaneously. Minute La tried to escape, but Minute Ha neutralized her and fell to the ground. Minute Ha then scanned the code to check, but the watch showed an error. Then, she gave the young man an injection in the neck. Jan, holding a slingshot, stepped out and asked, "Are you the one who wants to kill me?" Then she also gave the short-haired woman a rubber bullet that grazed her cheek. She then incapacitated her and scanned the code, revealing a green code. As the two were about to engage in a hand-to-hand combat, a bullet flew into the house. Minute immediately kicked Jan away to dodge the incoming bullet. The person who had just squeezed the trigger was the long-haired man lying in ambush in a car. He was also Bing, the name of the younger brother who took meticulous care of her to ensure she was lucid enough to accurately snipe from inside the house. Aunt Minute now told Jan, "I'm here to protect you. Don't you find it strange that your uncle asked you to shout Dong Xin Man 3 times to the sky whenever you're in danger? In the past 10 years, you've only done it 3 times. The first time when you were bullied in middle school, the second time when you were harassed in college, and this year when the convenience store owner cheated you out of your wages. You may not know it, but you have a code implanted in your arm. The uncle and aunt are the only 2 with the blue code. Everyone with the code is obligated to protect the uncle and aunt. The girl who bullied her has transferred schools. The pervert at the university has dropped out. The convenience store owner had an accident. I'm here to protect her from those planes just now." Outside, a mercenary army has been mobilized to prepare to attack the house. The long-haired Lai Song Rose, upon seeing Jan peek out, immediately fired another shot. Minute Ha threw out a smoke grenade to help. The long-haired man, seeing the smoke outside, ordered his accomplices to deal with it. A plane landed and proceeded to suck up all the smoke from the house. Then, Minute Ha shot down the plane. The long-haired man realized Minute Ha was inside helping Jan, so he gave her a shot in the arm, causing her to drop her gun. Minute Ha then regained consciousness and bandaged her wound. Outside, the mercenaries began rappelling down the bridge. To prepare for a full-scale assault on the house, Jan wanted to crawl out to retrieve her dropped gun, but a bullet sent it flying under a chair. Jan trembled and tried to remember what Uncle Jin Man had taught her: take advantage of the blind spots of professional marksmen. She picked up a piece of broken glass, tied it to a broom, and then held it outside. Immediately, the glass shattered. Jan continued to pick up another piece of glass, but held it a little higher, only to suffer the same fate. When she reached the 3rd piece of glass, the long-haired man, outside, bullets whizzed past the ceiling. Jan realized the bullets were coming from a diagonal direction and from a very high vantage point, so the blind spot would be above. Jan immediately climbed onto the refrigerator. The long-haired man noticed something unusual and ordered his henchman to drive a little closer. Jan took a running jump and landed on the sofa, narrowly missing her back. But she landed safely. Jan tried to grab the gun from under the sofa. When she flipped the sofa over, she found a machine gun hidden underneath. Minute Ha immediately asked. Jan asked, "Have you ever used this rifle before?" Then, sitting at a distance, he instructed Jan on how to load and aim. Jan fired a shot, piercing the car window where the long-haired man, Lai Song Ro, was sitting. Minute Ha immediately rushed out and pulled Jan up. A mercenary was about to assassinate Minute Ha, but Minute Ha saved him just in time, causing his accomplices outside to be slightly intimidated by Minute High's formidable skills. Minute High's aunt then instructed them both to go down to the secret warehouse to hide. Under the floor of her uncle's office, there was a door that could lead to. Upon reaching the HP center, I promised your uncle I would protect you to the end. Minute High continued to fight off the numerous mercenaries outside so that the two of them could escape. Jan and Dung Minute each used a bulletproof shield to move towards the warehouse. The long-haired man, Lai Song-ah, immediately informed the mercenaries of the situation. He fired a shot, causing both of them to stagger. As he prepared to fire another, he was already in Minute High's sights, but a bullet deflected towards the henchman driving in front. Jan and Dung Minute were also safe. Entering Uncle Jin Man's office, Minute Ha saw the mercenaries attacking. He immediately ran in and signaled Jan to go down to the warehouse, then pulled the door shut, leaving Jan alone to fight. Jan opened the combination lock and tried entering his uncle's birthday, but the warehouse door wouldn't open. In this critical moment, Jan suddenly remembered Uncle Jin Man's instructions to memorize his student ID number. He pressed the numbers, and suddenly a door slammed shut, revealing a secret chamber below filled with various weapons. Suddenly, the masked man pointed his gun at both of them and introduced me as the older brother of the mercenaries above. The mercenaries began to break into Dong Jin Man's office, and Minute High was waiting there. The mercenaries searched everywhere, when suddenly the lights went out. Minute High took down the first mercenary. The girl used binoculars to fire another shot through the darkness, but the mercenaries rained bullets down on her. Minute High managed to jump to the ground outside in time. Lai Song-ro, unable to contact the mercenary captain anymore, took the bag of pastries his recently deceased subordinate was eating and said, "Rest in peace, you fool." He calmly savored the pastries and waited for good news from the mercenary team on their mission. Inside, the assassin Minute High, using her lightning-fast movements, took down several more mercenaries. Tired of guns, she switched to knives to eliminate the remaining mercenaries. As a result, only Captain Kim was still alive. Minute High was surprised. Minute High appeared to attack, using his lightning-fast movements to dodge the captain's bullets. However, the captain struck him hard, and Minute High managed to get up and pin Captain Kim down. The captain bit hard into his arm and then pinned Minute High down as well. He intended to finish him off with a knife, but Minute High stopped him in time. Unexpectedly, the knife, which had been coated with poison, cut his hand. After a struggle, he fell and Minute High closed his eyes to allow him to die peacefully in the secret chamber below. Then the masked man introduced himself to Jan. "My name is Wind," and threw out a pair of handcuffs, demanding that Jan handcuff Dung Minute. Jan picked up the handcuffs, turned her back, and kicked Dung Minute in the leg. Jan then attacked and successfully subdued the stranger, strangling him until he stopped struggling. After that, they both discovered that Jan's entire living space was monitored by surveillance cameras. From her school to her part-time job, even the bathroom had surveillance cameras. Jan then kicked the man. The man with the stiff hair pointed his gun at him and asked, "How long have you been following me? Did my uncle send you to do these things?" The man with the stiff hair spoke up, "Ni and Jan, prioritize Minute High. He's upstairs, the others are coming. The boss said it won't end here. We need to go outside to get more supplies and medicine to save Minute High." Minute High went to explore the secret room and flipped the light switch. The light from the bulb blinded the man with the stiff hair, causing him to panic. He said, "If I come into contact with the light, it hurts so much if it's bright for too long. Please turn off the lights," Jan continued, asking how long he'd been following him. Then, both of them put on their raincoats to help the clueless guy avoid being blinded. He started recounting his story from the time he was brought here to live, but his friend Dung Minute stuffed a piece of cloth into his mouth so the clueless guy couldn't pretend to be pitiful to get Jan's sympathy anymore. After that, Dung Minute went to explore the high-quality server system in the secret room. Suddenly, the clueless guy pointed at it. Dung Minute pointed towards Jan and told her not to trust that guy. Then the guy ran away. Dung Minute immediately grabbed his gun and, along with Jan, went to search for the guy. The guy was holding a syringe and tried to attack Jan from behind, but she kicked him hard. Jan continued to chase him but fell into a pit. The guy pressed a button to close the pit's opening, then flipped a switch to turn off all the lights in the secret chamber. He put on a pair of night vision goggles and then hit Dung Minute hard in the back with a stick. Then, using a dog chain, they chained Min's neck to the bottom of the pit. Jan could also observe everything because there was another monitoring system below the pit. The man named Wind shook Minute, then stuffed cloth into his mouth. After that, He began communicating with Jan through the monitoring screens. He instructed Jan, open the second drawer. Jan opened the drawer and found the handover documents. The man named Wind began reading the rules in the handover documents. If the owner of the handover documents, Dong Jin Man, died or fainted, his niece, Dong Jin Man, would be the one to follow. Jan would inherit the entire shopping center, which meant she would have to manage all tasks such as accounting and human resources. After explaining the 10 rules of the HP takeover regulations, the man asked Jan if she agreed to take over the shopping center. He asked her to write down her decision. Jan wrote I agree and then asked, "Are you sure you'll obey my orders?" After the man nodded, Jan demanded, "Release me immediately." He then pressed the release button. Jan opened the hole so Jan could crawl over to the top. The man continued, telling the girl that the boss had anticipated his death and the attack on the MH center, so he had planned everything. Jan then snatched the gun from the man's pocket and demanded, "Release Jung Minute immediately." The man replied, "I can't, because the boss died because of that Jung Minute." Then, the man removed Jung Min's handcuffs, but Jung Minute gave him a powerful punch. Jan then pointed the gun at Jung Minute and demanded his release. "Stop right there." Minute immediately asked, "Do you really believe what he said?" The stiff-faced man seized the opportunity to chain Min's neck. Minute kept calling out to Jan, "Trust me. Don't you remember we almost died just now? I even helped at your uncle's funeral. How could I be the one to make him die?" Clearly, this guy had been living in this basement for years. He'd installed cameras to watch him, even while he was showering. The stiff-faced man insisted, "No, it wasn't him. Your uncle definitely didn't commit suicide. This guy has been looking for your uncle." Then she said, "The boss is dead. Open the video file named 0404 and you'll know everything." Jan approached the computer and found the file 0404. Dung Minute immediately stopped Jan, telling her not to click on it, saying that clicking would disable all the doors here and allow the assassins outside to break in. Meanwhile, the guy with the stiff hair kept urging Jan, "Quick, click on it." Dung Minute then recounted the story of when Jan was locked in the school's warehouse. "It was I who ran to tell your uncle," she said. Hearing this, Jia felt a pang of guilt. Because he was distracted, he didn't open the file anymore. Jia looked at the surveillance camera and saw Aunt Minute fighting off the mercenaries outside alone, so he immediately told the clumsy guy to go upstairs to give her a gun and medicine. The clumsy guy put on his backpack and decided to leave his glasses for Jan as a gift. He then told Jan that no matter what happened, she shouldn't leave the shopping mall. After that, he put on his beanie and went upstairs to find Minute High, but she pointed a gun at him. The man named Wind immediately said, "Sister, it's me," and took off his mask. Minute recognized the boy she had met before. He had grown up a lot. Below, when Jan pulled her hand to stand up, Dung Minute hugged Jan tightly and said, "Thank you for choosing me. You know, when you were little, the person who locked you in the school's warehouse was me." Unexpectedly, Jan was injected with a drug in the neck by this man, causing her whole body to reel. Dung Minute then sat down at the computer to control the central control system. At MHJ Shopping Mall, Jan looked at Dung Minute through his glasses and saw he was wearing a recording pen. Jan immediately asked, "Who are you?" Then Dung Minute called the ringleader and reported, "I've got inside MH's center. Dong Jian has also been captured and tied up. I'll hand over MH's shopping mall to you within 3 days. Have you seen how powerful I am?" "What? You want me to kill Dong Jian?" Dung Minute then pointed the gun at January. The girl asked, "Is that you? You're the one who plotted to lock me in the school warehouse when we were kids, aren't you, Dung Minute?" he recounted. "Back then, I was very curious whether you were truly mute or just pretending, so I instigated those 3 guys to lock you up to test it out. If you were in a difficult situation, could you speak? You should be grateful to me for helping you overcome your aphasia. Do you want to know what happened? There's a place called Babylon. Back when I was discharged from the army, I told my computer engineering classmate about a website selling weapons that I had hacked, but this guy didn't believe what I said and was afraid of going to jail if he got involved with that illegal website, but that website fascinated me. A little while later, when we both arrived back at the rented apartment, a guy with a buzz cut was lying in ambush on the ground with a hostile look in his eyes. When we went up to the room, we saw a guy with a face exactly like the one we just met. The leader asked, "Minute, did you hack MDRH?" Then both of us were beaten up by the guy with the buzz cut. The commander, Lai Dong-han of the Babylon organization. Both boys had a little time to practice their hacking skills test. While his friend was extremely panicked, Dung Minute remained calm and performed the task. In the end, Dung Minute was the one who found the real website address of the Babylon organization before time ran out. His friend was then coldly dealt with by the guy with the buzz cut. Dung Minute, seeing this, showed no fear whatsoever and even demanded that Commander Lai Dong-han clean up this mess. The commander then showed a picture of Dong Jin-man and his niece. Dong Jian then assigned Dung Minute a task. Immediately afterward, Dung Minute took the flyer looking for part-time worker to Uncle Dong Jinman and introduced himself as someone who had gone to the same elementary school as Dian. As a result, Uncle Jin-man hired Dung Minute to work at his agricultural pipe factory. However, Dung Minute was as weak as a snail and deliberately acted as innocent as possible. He secretly placed a hidden camera pen on Uncle Jin-man's desk and then used it to record every corner of the store. Before finding anything suspicious, he received a message from the ringleader demanding that he find the MH center within another day. So he pretended to have a stomachache to excuse himself to go to the restroom. He held the memory card in his hand, then went outside and tried to locate the storage devices of MH. Suddenly, the voice of Boss Jin Man rang out. Dung Minute looked around and saw a speaker on the ceiling. At that moment, Jin Man entered and said, "I installed the speaker so I could easily talk to Jan from the warehouse when she was still living here." Then, Mr. Jin Man asked Dung Minute to fix his computer. Dung Minute was overjoyed to hear this. He proceeded to check the computer and recounted how close he and Jan used to be. Jin Man, suspicious, said, "She used to be very rude and had no friends." Seeing Dung Min's hesitant reply, Jin Man left, leaving Dung Minute to continue fixing the computer. However, a camera had been installed behind him. Dung Minute inserted a memory card into the computer to copy all the data from the basement. Even the clueless guy could see all of this guy's actions. When Dung Minute got home, he received a message from his commander asking if he had successfully infiltrated MH. Unexpectedly, he received a notification that the connection had been successfully established. At this moment, Zinman was also logging into his MH shopping mall. Dung Minute was now able to access MH's massive shopping mall, making him extremely excited. He noticed someone entering, so he started typing and installing something. The guy with the buzz cut, carrying a gun, walked in, and just as Dung Minute was about to be executed, the hacker said, "If you kill me, everything will be useless because I've already set it up." The guy with the buzz cut then connected Dung Minute to Commander Lai Dong-han. Dung Minute said, "If I die, my HP will restart from the beginning because I've set it up so only I can access it." But the commander still ordered Jung Min's elimination. He begged, "You've seen how powerful I am, haven't you? I'm smart and a skilled hacker. I have a brilliant plan. Let me take down Dong Jin Man and get my hands on Jung Minute." He then opened the 0404 folder and played the video of him being hung upside down in the house by his boss, Jin Man. Afterward, Jin Man went into the bathroom, but the camera was turned off at that moment. He showed Jan the memory card and said, "This is how I sent your uncle to his grave." He plugged the memory card into the computer so Jan could watch the video. At that time, Jin Man heard Jan's niece, Dung Minute, pleading for help on the phone. She desperately said, "If you kill me, Babylon will eliminate Jan immediately. Release me while I'm still alive." Jin Man listened intently to his niece's pleas for help, then told Jung Minute, "I'll do as you say. Release Jan as you promised." After that, Jin Man made a final phone call to his friend, passing, and went into the bathroom. Suddenly, Jin Man turned back and told Jung Minute, "Tell Babylon to keep his promise." Then, he cut Jung Min's restraints. Jin Man then went into the bathroom and closed the door. Jung Minute, having untied himself, slowly entered the bathroom. When he opened the door, he found Jin Man lying motionless in the bathtub. Jan burst into tears upon seeing the last image of her uncle, while Dung Minute laughed gleefully. Jan asked me why I hadn't said those cries for help, but Dung Minute admitted he had used faulty technology to fake the voice of the convenience store owner where Jan worked part-time. He said he had helped me record Jan's voice and immediately demonstrated it to Jan, saying, "I thought your uncle was so smart, but he ended up falling for this low-level trick of mine and taking his own life. I never thought it would be so easy. That's probably because I'm too smart. That's why the Babylon organization chose me." January. After a moment of confusion, he burst out laughing and said, "You're just a fake smart henchman." Do you think you'll get away unscathed after leaving here? Because my uncle is gone, I'm the only one left with the green code, and I'm sure many people will protect me. As for your Babylon organization, they won't care about your life. Did those assassin planes avoid you just now? You're just something they're using. Now you should negotiate with the only person with the green color code, which is me, Dung Minute said, losing his temper. He stood up and yelled at Jan to subdue her. Seeing that she continued to curse at him, he grabbed her hair and pointed a gun at Jan's head. Jan kicked him in the leg and used her legs to tightly grip Dung Minute Jan, then knocked Dung Minute down, knocking out a tooth. She then kicked him and pushed the chair away forcefully to attack him. Jan quickly jumped down and Jan tried to open the door to get a gun but was shot multiple times by Dung Minute, so she fled. Dung Minute pursued her, trying to kill her, so Jan grabbed a rope and a bottle of chemicals to try to resist. While searching for Jan, Dung Minute urged her to surrender. He also told her that his uncle wasn't a great person either. He must have killed many people. The world we live in doesn't distinguish between good and bad, only the strong and the weak. Even someone like Dong Jin Man died because of that. My trap means I'm even stronger than your uncle. Suddenly, he slipped and got caught in a rope. Then Jan hung him upside down as if he were falling. Jan immediately hit him on the head. Dung Minute switched to begging mode, but Jan still kicked him like a ball. Nothing more, nothing less. Above, Minute 2 was now bandaging his wounds. The guy with the windy voice told Minute 2, Jan has to solve the problem himself. The boss said she has to find a way to survive. Jan isn't weak. The guy with the windy voice used a hammer to smash a wall. Currently, many other guns are hidden inside, while outside, a state-of-the-art robot has been deployed to prepare for an attack on the house. This robot only needs to dip its feet once to leap from a height to the ground extremely smoothly, then dashes with the speed of a leopard to run into the house. Another team of mercenaries has also been mobilized to enter the house. The young man with the wind-like expression proceeds to slam all the rolling doors of the house shut, but the robot dog manages to break in just in time. Minute High uses his gun to attack the robot. This robot moved incredibly fast and agilely. The mercenary team outside also began their attack. The sudden wind caused a commotion. Minute High immediately ordered her to retreat inside and close the rolling door. The robot was about to fly in when Minute High fired a shot, sending it flying backward. The robot also managed to block the rolling door in time, allowing the mercenaries to enter. Once everyone was inside, the door slammed shut. In the secret chamber below, Jan began reading the personnel transfer files that Mdare He and Uncle Dong Jin Man had given her. He gave his niece two choices. One, if she wanted to escape, she should use the back door to get away. At the end of the road, she would have a new identity, some money to start over, and the phone number of someone who would help her begin a new life. 2. If she wanted to join those fighting to protect her, she should turn to the next page and follow the instructions. He apologized for putting her in this situation. Jan now stood before the escape route, feeling utterly conflicted. Above, the robot began drilling a small hole in the wall. The mercenary team, Lin, put on gas masks. Minute High and his younger brother, Geo Du, also put on masks to look for a chance to survive. The robot inserted its nozzle to spray gas inside. Suddenly, it was pulled upwards along the door and dropped freely to the ground. From inside, a bomb was thrown. Minute High flew out, used his two claws to firmly grip one mercenary, then spun around with his gun and successively took down several more mercenaries. Minute High hid behind the sofa to avoid the onslaught. The rain of gunfire from the remaining mercenaries intensified. The girl now loaded her gun and began to charge out to counterattack. Minute High leaped, knocking down one soldier and then taking down a few more. Wind and Duan stood behind the glass, shielding Minute High and calling for her to retreat. Wind provided covering fire so Duan could get back inside. The captain stood up and began to counterattack, but Jan pulled out 2 grenades. Duan pulled the pins, and Jan threw them towards the mercenary group. The 2 grenades exploded, injuring the long-haired man, Lai. Outside, the robot crew felt panicked. The robot control team couldn't get a signal from the robot anymore. Inside the house, the 3 of them followed a tunnel to the bathroom and bandaged Minute High's wounds. Suddenly, the leader of the mercenary group burst through the door and shot Minute High. He grabbed Minute High's hair and dragged him outside. When he ran to stop him, he was kicked away. Jan also rushed to attack but couldn't withstand the strength of the tall, burly soldier. He threw Jan to the ground again, And then, looking in the mirror at his nearly mangled face, he reported to the long-haired man, Lai Song-rose, that they had captured all three of them, but he was the only one still breathing. The long-haired man ordered them to capture Dong Jan alive, but this thug wanted to give the girl some scars on her face. He was about to slash Jan with a knife when someone stabbed him from behind. It was Uncle Pa-sin, Dong Xinmin's friend and also Jan's martial arts master. Jan immediately hugged her master. Uncle Pa-sin announced, "Balu is coming. The one who killed my parents. That's me." Inside the control room of the Babylon base, Bell is now ordering the twin brothers to go into battle immediately. The story that led to the feud between Dong Xinmin and Bell originates from 14 years ago. Xinmin was then the captain of a professional mercenary team. At that time, Xinmin's mercenary team was tasked with escorting a businessman from abroad back to South Korea safely. Meanwhile, Lai Song-ar and Bell were fighting on a nearby branch, and Bell is a character with a strong personality. In a chaotic and bloody battle, the young mercenary Song Kwan entered the building to find Bio and discovered many civilians had been killed. He then witnessed Bio killing an innocent couple. At this point, Lai Song-ro also entered, and the mercenary recounted, "I saw Bio kill civilians." Lai Song-ro immediately eliminated his comrade Song Kwan to cover his tracks. When Captain Jin Man entered, Lai Song-ro said, "This kid rushed out to save civilians and was shot down by the rebels." Jin Man then closed the mercenary's eyes. From behind, a young boy named Bio, holding a gun, coldly pulled the trigger. He then told Jin Man that there couldn't be any witnesses. Jin Man then reported to Commander Lai Dong-han that the bullet had lodged in the soldier's body, not from the rebel side, but the commander immediately dismissed the matter. Jin Man's suspicions were directed at Bio, and he repeatedly praised him, saying, "He's a born elite machine. I believe the only one who can control Bio is you, so you should give him favorable testimony in court," Jin Man said, feeling extremely frustrated but agreeing, and setting a condition. "From now on, don't let Bio participate in any missions I command." Then Bio had to appear in court at the local government office. When the female lawyer questioned Lai Song-ar about the mercenaries killing civilians in the administrative building, he blamed everything on the rebel forces. Afterward, the female lawyer invited the commanding officer of the operation, Dong Jin Man, to testify. When the lawyer asked if he had personally witnessed the defendant Bio murdering civilians, Jin Man glanced in his direction and decided to follow Commander Lai Dong-han's instructions, replying, "I didn't see it." Later, the court in the host country acquitted Bio due to insufficient evidence. Songs was overjoyed upon hearing this for his comrade, and Bio displayed an extremely arrogant attitude. Sometime after returning to South Korea, Commander Lai Dong-han still decided to. Bell is assigned to the next mission with Jin Man because this is a very large drug supplier from Laos to China. If he fails this time, the company will suffer a huge loss. The superiors have requested Bell to participate in this mission, and this time there will definitely be no civilians. This is the last time. After this mission, I will remove Bell from your duties. The commander shows a picture of a man named Dao and demands that Jin Man capture him before Bell kills him. Jin Man walks out, and he said straight to Bio's face, "This time you're not allowed to act on your own like last time, understand? I'll catch you. If we encounter any locals, we'll hand you over to the police, understood?" Bio showed resistance but then reluctantly nodded in agreement. The mercenary team went to Laos and entered the building where Bio was staying. The twin brothers discovered two men who were not wearing vests and demanded that Bio hand them over to the police as Captain Jin Man had instructed. But Bio, he immediately threw them a knife to fight alongside him, then coldly finished off the first man, while the other was eliminated by one of the twins. Meanwhile, Jin Man and Pa-sin were chasing after the guy. When he crawled into a room, Pa-sin caught him and captured him alive along with a pile of money on the bed. The mercenary group led by Lin, on Bell's side, received news that the guy had been captured and were very happy. Lai and Song-ro searched and found a very unusual room. When they shone a flashlight inside, seeing 4 women inside, Bio looked in and one of them cried out for help. Bio ordered them to stay put, then threw a grenade inside. Jin Man and Pa-sin heard the explosion and rushed over. Jin Man looked inside and saw that all 4 women were dead. Lai Song explained, "When I found them, they were all dead." Jin Man then asked Bell if he did it. After that, the two sides started pointing guns at each other. Bio challenged Jin Man to pull the trigger. Li Song, Jin Man spoke up to stop them and demanded everyone put down their guns. Captain Jin Man also put down his weapon. Jin Man ordered them to detonate the bombs and return to base. After that, many time bombs were placed throughout the building. Jin Man entered the room of Dao, who had just been captured, and discovered someone hiding in a closet. A woman jumped out and attacked Jin Man. It was Minute Hai. Jin Man then covered Minute Hai with his jacket, deciding to save her life. After everyone prepared to leave, back at the base, Jin Man told Pa Sin and Jun to drive ahead. He would stay here. Jin Man went inside the building and led Minute Hai to escape before the bombs exploded. Suddenly, Bio appeared and blocked Jin Man's path. Jin Man fired a shot and continued to lead Minute Hai to escape. Bio jumped down again to block their way and shot Jin Man. Jin Man stood up and told Minute Hai to run ahead to escape. Bio then told Jin Man, "Now I'll tell you, Jin Man, I want to become a soldier. I'm a mercenary because I enjoy killing people. That way I can make money by killing as many as I want. Don't force me to follow your rules about protecting civilians. Anyway, we are getting paid to kill people, so don't pretend to be righteous anymore. It makes me nauseous." Then the two started fighting with knives. After a struggle, Bio kicked Jin Man to the ground. He was about to swing his knife at Jin Man when he was shot in the eye. The person who grabbed his throat was Minute Hai. Jin Man then stabbed him multiple times. Bio told Jin Man that if he didn't kill him now, he would kill his whole family, his friends, and everyone involved, including Jin Man. Jin Man picked up the gun and squeezed the trigger, but it was out of ammunition. Then the bombs exploded, but Jin Man and Minute Hai managed to escape. Jin Man returned to the country and told the investigators, "Bell and I fought with the others in the building when the bomb exploded. I was standing near the door, so I was lucky to escape. I didn't have time to search for his body later." Then Jin Man handed over his gun to Commander Lai Dong-han and announced, "I want to rest for a while." The commander immediately called to have someone follow Jin Man. Later, while Jin Man was sitting at the bus station, he realized someone was following him. When his friend Honda came to pick him up, Jin Man signaled to him, "Don't come near me." But Honda managed to throw the car keys to Jin Man. Jin Man called his older brother and was scolded for disappearing for 8 years. After that, the boy also returned home to reunite with his family members and his niece Jan, whose name is Lai. While practicing shooting on a rocky outcrop, he noticed someone approaching. It was Beale, who had just returned from the dead with one eye missing. Jin Man also asked his friends to pack a package to send from Laos to Korea. When his friend Honda received the package, he was extremely shocked to find a girl inside. Minute Hai immediately took out her phone to communicate with the hearing-impaired boy, and Jin Man asked Honda to give the girl to him. After staying there for a while, Jin Man's whole family started taking a family photo to celebrate their reunion, but soon after, his mother had to be hospitalized due to her worsening condition. She also instructed Jin Man to remember to take care of Jan and help his older siblings. She said, "I have lived a life without regrets. I am so happy that you have returned so I can see you one more time before I close my eyes." That evening, a delivery man brought a package to Honda's hardware store. Honda took the box inside and opened the door. In his secret room, Honda began opening the package. Looking through the camera, he saw someone loitering in front of his shop. Honda immediately grabbed a gun and went outside. Minute Hai saw the gun parts on the table and was very excited. When Honda went outside, he discovered that the intruder was his friend Dong Jin Man. The two hugged each other to celebrate their reunion. When Minute Hai saw Jin Man enter, she ran to hug him tightly and said, "I missed you so much." Honda was very happy. Surprisingly, they saw the two guns neatly assembled and placed on the table. Later, while talking, Honda assured Jin Man that Beale was definitely dead because no one could survive such an explosion. Honda also urged Jin Man to join him at an online shopping center because his younger brother was a computer genius. He could do anything on a computer. Minute Hai had assembled the gun herself, even though he'd never taught her. At the Babylon organization's base now, the guy named El Song is. Lai Song devised a plan to eliminate Jin Man and all his family members. Jun Chan expressed his opposition to the plan, saying Jin Man's family was innocent. Lai Song then threatened that if Jun Chan didn't participate, his two children at home wouldn't be safe either, which greatly angered Jun Chan. Afterward, Bio entered the hospital room where Jin Man's mother was lying. He proceeded to gag her until the electrocardiogram showed straight lines. The medical team rushed in to save her, but it was all too late. During his mother's funeral, his brother prevented Jin Man from examining her body. Meanwhile, his niece, Jan, kept breaking things, so Jin Man drove her home. As Jin Man drove away from the hospital, Lai Song's car pulled up. He immediately called the technical team, who were in a car. The technician deleted his image from the surveillance cameras. Then, Lai Songs entered the funeral hall, introducing himself as an old friend of Jin Man. He asked the couple to help him carry the wreath. He led the couple up to a rooftop where Bio and his accomplices were waiting. Jin Man, while driving, texted his friend Honda, asking him to check the hospital surveillance cameras. Meanwhile, Jin Man's sister-in-law was crawling on the ground, begging them to spare her husband's life. Lai Song Ro told his wife, "I'll stage a scenario where your husband discovers you're having an affair and attacks you, then he ends his own life." Meanwhile, Bio stomped hard on Jin Man's older brother, and his sister-in-law was also attacked by Lai Song Ro. The guy with the buzz cut put a knife in her brother-in-law's hand and threw him down. At home, Jin Man received a phone call from his younger brother Jun Troll, who secretly informed him that Bio was still alive. He was on his way to his mother's funeral with Lai Song Ro. Jin Man immediately texted his friend Honda to protect his niece January. Honda immediately left the house, and his younger brother, Wind, was angry because his older brother had promised to stay home and eat barbecue with him. That night, Honda immediately promised he would be home before dinner, and then he left the house, looking quite reluctant. Jin Man also promised Jan that he would return soon. Honda sped to Jan's house on his motorcycle to protect him, but a man was trying to break down the door. Honda instantly appeared and dragged him out, putting an iron ring on his arm. After a fight, he subdued the intruder. Honda went into the house and gave Jan the answer, the cat. He saw Lai Song Ro and his gang waiting there. Outside, Honda immediately told Jan to go into the room. The henchman with a gun entered, but Honda ambushed and took down Lai Song Ro, who was outside. Hearing the gunshots, Honda was hit by a bullet. Lai Song Ro advanced and fought with Honda. After losing a tooth, he counterattacked and knocked Honda down. Looking through the crack in the door, Jin Man saw his uncle, who had just come to his rescue, being dealt with. Jin Man immediately drove to the hospital and tried to text Honda, but unexpectedly, a car blocked his way. In the underpass, a woman ran up to Zinman, asking to borrow his phone. From behind, a truck slammed into Zinman's car. From the truck, Jun Troll and the mercenaries began to get out and continuously fire at Zinman's unarmed car. The woman whose car had been damaged was also one of their accomplices. Suddenly, the back door of the car opened. Inside, Zinman, holding a machine gun, continuously attacked the mercenaries. The leader, Jun Troll, was ambushed from behind by Jin Man, who stabbed him in the hand. 3 assassins attacked with guns, but Jin Man used the ringleader to shield himself from the bullets. Afterward, Jin Man managed to escape. At home, Lai Song Rose discovered Jan swinging outside. The girl let go and landed on the sofa. She started to run but was hit by a car, causing the attackers to stop chasing her. The two then broke into Honda's electronics store to search for Minute Ha. Minute Ha, having observed them through security cameras, immediately hid. They then entered Honda's secret room, where one of the attackers was shot. The substance was poured on Minute, and the two men immediately used guns to finish them off. The girl put on her backpack and pressed the destruction button to burn down the house. When Uncle Pa Sin returned home, he found the door unlocked, so he grabbed a weapon for self-defense. Unexpectedly, he found Jin Man lying on the ground with a wound in his stomach. Pa Sin quickly removed the bullet from Jin Man's body. Pa Sin said, "I don't want anything to do with Babylon anymore. If you wake up, then leave." Jin Man demanded that Pa Sin provide him with a gun. "If you help me, I'll leave right away." Pa Sin expressed his disappointment that Jin Man was trying to kill the weeds and not following Babylon's company instructions. But then Pa Sin gave Jin Man a gun with 13 bullets inside. After that, Jin Man left. His accomplices outside monitored the hospital's cameras and informed the long-haired man of the opportune moment to act. Jan also noticed someone entering the hospital. When the long-haired man broke into the patient's room, Jan managed to sneak out. Jin Man took down 2 accomplices who were in the car. Seeing the long-haired man entering the morgue to find his granddaughter, Jin Man subdued one of them to use as a shield. He then fought with the long-haired man. After a while, he managed to overpower him. Jin Man opened the morgue and carried his granddaughter away. Meanwhile, Bio arrived at the hospital and saw Jin Man carrying his granddaughter. He pulled out his gun, preparing to kill both of them, when a group of people emerged from the funeral home. Jin Man then disappeared. Commander Lai Dong-han, returning home from Babylon, was greeted by his grandson. While waiting to celebrate his grandfather's birthday, the son came out and announced that there were guests. The commander entered and saw Jin Man playing with his grandson. The commander still tried to be cheerful in front of his extended family. Jin Man put the gun down on the table and said to the commander, "There are 5 bullets left in the magazine, enough for my grandson, my son, my wife, and my daughter-in-law, and there's still 1 left for you. I've been here for an hour, but I didn't do it. But my mother, my brother, my sister-in-law, even my friend, they are all gone. Is that punishment enough for what I've done? If you stop, I'll bury everything until I'm in the grave." The commander then called Bell and said, "Jin Man said he'll stop. Can you stop?" Bell laughed loudly after hearing this. Jin Man said to Pa Sin, "Babylon can stop, but Bell can't. I need a long-term plan." Jin Man led Pa Sin to a remote area, and together they drew up a plan to build an underground shop. Jin Man went to find his younger brother, Wind, Honda's boss, and the computer genius boy called upon Minute Ha to stand by his side from now on. Minute Ha, while walking in an alley, was followed by a stranger. She used a gun to resist, but Pa Sin quickly neutralized her, and the two began negotiating. Afterwards, Jin Man also brought Jan to this house to live, and the boss worked hard to help Jin Man build the shopping center. Minute Ha was trained and educated by Pa Sin, but Jin Man was still haunted by the fear of being retaliated against by Bio and returning to the present. Now, Uncle Pa Sin carried Minute Ha onto the bed and proceeded to remove the bullet lodged in Minute Ha's body. While exploring a wall, he smelled gunpowder in the cracks of the bricks. The young man realized his boss, Jin Man, had secretly set a trap there. Dung Minute was hanging below the secret chamber and began to regain consciousness. He struggled, managed to cut through the ropes, and fell to the ground. He tried to enter the password to get upstairs but didn't know it, so he decided to sit at the computer to hack into the system. When Minute Hai, the manager of the 2 provinces, heard Jan say to her, "Don't die, sister, and you like that guy, right?" Minute Hai immediately injected herself with a painkiller and informed Jan that Lai Song would be here soon and that they needed to go down to the C-store to hide. But Geo Du immediately ran in to stop Pa Sin, saying, "I'm the one who dug that store down. Going down there is the safest." Geo Du explained, "The boss has set traps all over the place, and going in now would cause them to explode. Even Pa Sin would be trapped. I don't know, but in the past 14 years, my boss and I have taken turns, and the store has never been left unattended. If no one is there, the system will automatically detect a danger, and all machines will shut down within 24 hours. We only have 20-30 minutes left, but someone has hacked into the store server." Then, the system checked and informed Jan that it was Dung Minute who had hacked into the shopping mall server. I told her not to trust Dung Minute, but unexpectedly, the robot dog suddenly woke up and started spinning. The circle malfunctioned due to a short circuit, then it emitted extremely powerful ultrasonic waves, causing all 3 to go deaf. Pa Sin attacked with a gun, but the robot didn't stop. Wind was in so much pain that he fainted. Pa Sin asked Jan to escape through the tunnel in the bathroom. Jan immediately woke Wind up and pulled him inside with him. Minute Ha was about to shoot the robot when a car sped up. Inside, a pair of twin brothers got out. Lai and Song also got out, but the door got stuck. The twins fired a shot at Minute, but were attacked by Pa Sin. Pa Sin then urged his 2 former comrades, "Let's go to hell together today." The 2 men also let go of their anger and used knives to fight Ben hand-to-hand. All 3 began to clash to determine the winner. Lai then went into the room to find Jan and the old man who had escaped from his uncle through the window when he was little, but today there was no window to jump through. Then Jan also rushed out but was knocked to the ground by Lai and the twins. Wind then struck hard from behind to rescue him. Jan was quickly knocked down by Lai Songs. Then Windy clung to him so Jan could escape. Jan ran to the other side of the car and saw his master, Pa Sin, fiercely fighting 2 thugs. At this moment, Lai Songs also pulled out his gun and fired multiple shots at Windy. One of the twins rushed forward to attack Jan but was stopped by Minute Hai. Uncle Pa Sin used a broken painting to finish off one of them and shouted, "Run!" The twin was heartbroken at the loss of his brother. He fired several shots at Pa Sin. Jan ran into his uncle's office, but Lai Songs followed him. Jan fled and decided to pick up a gun from a dead mercenary to defend himself. Lai Songs entered and saw the mercenaries who had infiltrated earlier lying scattered on the floor. He confiscated the ring from Captain Kim's hand and put it in his mouth to test if it was real or fake. Suddenly, the lights in the room turned on. Jan stepped out and asked Lai Songs, "Is that you? He killed my parents, didn't he?" Suddenly, Jan heard a noise behind him and turned around. Lai Song Rose also took the opportunity to run away. Dung Minute emerged from the secret chamber. He saw a machine gun lying on the ground, picked it up, and frantically fired at it, shouting insults. "Babylon is a rogue organization. I'm the one who killed Dong Jin Man, and now you're trying to steal my credit." Lai Song Rose heard this and felt somewhat offended. Dung Minute continued to squeeze the gun, but it was out of bullets. Jan calmly stepped out and said, "Those idiots waste bullets," then gave Dung Minute a fatal blow. Jan climbed down into the secret chamber of the shopping mall. Lai Song Rose looked down and he realized Jan was above him and fired several shots, but Jan managed to dodge them in time. Lai, wearing his goggles, started placing grenades all over the room. He admitted, "I'm sorry for killing your parents, and I killed many people too. We were on the same team, but I destroyed my teammates. If you have any grievances, blame me." He's dead, yet he left his niece, who was in love, to suffer like this. As Jan was moving, she passed a grenade. The bomb exploded, sending Jan flying far away. The twin brothers also took advantage of the situation to attack her. Jan fought back, but her gun was out of ammunition. However, she saw another gun lying on the ground. The other twin brother followed a secret passage in the restroom and came to a wall that looked like a secret door. He kicked the door hard, and it exploded loudly. Jan bandaged her wounds and burst into tears, remembering the choice of starting a new life that her uncle had prepared for her. Previously, the young man, now unconscious, regained consciousness because he was wearing a bulletproof vest. In the secret chamber below, Lai Song Ro was searching for Jan when the forklift's lights suddenly came on. Jan drove the forklift straight towards him, but Lai Song Ro managed to dodge. Unfortunately for him, he hit a bomb that he had planted earlier. Lai Song Ro was thrown far away and landed on a pile of chemicals that Jan had placed on top. Lai Song Ro challenged Jan's courage, and the girl immediately fired down at the chemicals on the ground, causing the fire to spread to Lai Song Ro, but the store's fire suppression system was activated, extinguishing the flames on Lai Song's body. He tried to rush forward, but Jan immediately shot him in the forehead. Minute Hai, shocked and unconscious, went down to the shopping mall and found Jan slumped on the ground with Lai Songs lying motionless. He also informed Uncle Parsin and Minute Hai that they were still alive. They proceeded to check Minute Hai's system and praised Dung Minute, acknowledging his skill in penetrating the security system. Suddenly, Geodu realized that many cars were heading towards the base. They were probably the assassins who had done business with the boss outside. Many thugs arrived in cars, carrying weapons, and approached the house. They began to gather, preparing to attack and capture everyone inside. Geodu learned that the Babylon organization had put them all on a target list and offered a $1 million reward for each person, which is why they had gathered so many assassins. Geodu then asked Jan for a way to solve the problem. "Since I'm in charge of this place now," Jan immediately ordered Win to open the warehouse door, then take a hammer and hit the ground. Above, Parsin informed Minute that they had sent more people, so no one would be able to get into the shopping center. So Jan would be safe. They had to fend for themselves. Many assassins entered the warehouse containing agricultural plastic pipes. Wind, with a grim expression, stepped out wearing a sign that read "Please don't shoot," and holding a loudspeaker. From inside the secret room, Jan began speaking through the microphone. "Hello to all customers. I am the new owner of MH and the granddaughter of Zhong Zinman. First, I want to give the customers who have come here a gift. Illegible text. Normal transactions with me, everyone's code will also be maintained. I can even offer a better price than my uncle offered. However, if you still want to continue taking my position, then you all have to. I'll count to 3 for you to make your decision." At this point, the assassins began to drop their guard and completely agreed to the attractive offer that Miss Jan had made, so they all retreated, making even the wind feel relieved. Uncle Parsin entered the room and saw Minute. The two, their bodies stiff with fear, descended into the secret chamber, their entire bodies trembling from the dangerous events they had just experienced. Jan went upstairs and looked around at her messy house, but upon entering the PH, she couldn't find Master Pasin and Minute Ha. Jan stepped outside, burst into tears, then collapsed and screamed loudly because of the horrific events she had just experienced. Suddenly, a bus arrived. Jan grabbed her gun and ran towards it, bracing herself for another fight with the assassins. From the bus, an old man emerged, a man with a beard and a hat pulled up from the car. Jan recognized him as the driver who had transported her uncle's remains to the cemetery. This uncle had a yellow badge and had come to help clean up the scene. Then, from the car, many people carrying specialized equipment arrived to clean up all the mess at the base where Jan was working. The owner and her uncle advised Jan to go into the shopping mall because it was too dangerous outside. A staff member ran up to announce that a car was approaching. Jan stepped out and saw it was the taxi driven by the same driver. Uncle Jin Man's best friend unexpectedly stepped out from the backseat, and Uncle Dong Jin Man, in flesh and blood, was helped away by a friend. Then the two of them looked at each other and smiled. Behind Uncle Dong Jin Man's survival, there are certainly many unrevealed details, including the character Beale, who hasn't appeared in the final episode, promising a sequel. This video ends here. If you enjoyed the content, please remember to like and subscribe to support Nam Mock Review.